Check out how I use my home studio to create the spec ad for Vans. I've been practically exclusively wearing Vans for the past 15 years of my life. I used to legit be known as the Vans girl in high school, so when I saw Authentic Lowpros make their return after a long hiatus, I knew I wanted to make a spec ad. For the opening shot, I wanted the Vans box to slide into the frame. For my set, I'm using the Thunder Gray seamless backdrop paper from Savage. I used peel and stick wallpaper with a concrete texture and attached it to a sheet of MDF to use as my surface to give the video a street feel. For my lighting, overhead lights are off. My key light is an Amaran 200 XS with an Amaran Light Dome Mini. The fill is an Amaran 100 XS with the Aperture Light Dome 3. To help better separate the surface from the background, I'm using an Amaran P60C panel light. For the camera, I'm rolling on a Canon R5C with a Sigma 18-35 f1.8 art lens. So I'm trying to push this into scene where it's gonna land into frame, and it's a medium shot right now, so it's gonna fill it pretty well. I'm trying to use this seam between the two pieces of the adhesive wallpaper as a guide, because I know when I push it, I wanna end up somewhere right here, so that's helpful to help align this properly and hopefully not need too many takes. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. And here's what the raw shot looked like. I'm gonna tape down this box because for the next shot, I'm gonna be doing quick cuts of me unboxing this, and I don't want it to slide over once the shoes are out of it. So I'm gonna be using some alien tape, and I'm just gonna cut off a small square and attach it right on the seam of the surface. Put the shoes in. For the first take, I stood on a stool so the logo on my hoodie wouldn't be in the shot. And yes, I purposely tucked my hair into my hoodie to avoid it going into the frame. For this next take, I think I'm gonna try a version where I kill the accent light so that way the background is a lot darker, because I think it would look cooler if my hoodie is kind of blending into the background versus separating. And I also think I can go one step lower on the stool because it kind of had like a weird, awkward proportion. I didn't like any of those. This ended up being one of the toughest shots of the whole ad. Man, this is hard. I felt like my first take was my best take. I was just doing some practice rounds, and when I mentally tell myself just do a kickflip with the shoe, for some reason the flips are coming out way better, so that's pretty on brand for this anyway. So for this take, I'm definitely channeling just do a kickflip with the shoe. So let's see if that helps. Honestly, I feel like that was all right. I'm gonna try again though. I also realized I need to be more mindful of after the flip where I'm putting the shoe. So this time I'm trying to flip it, put one shoe here, flip it, put one shoe here. So let's see if we can get it on this one. But I eventually got a take I was happy with. Here's a look at the raw clip. The fast editing in the final ad will help hide the imperfections of the movements. The next series of shots were the detail shots of the shoe. I used a black acrylic surface so I could get some cool reflections. I also switched over to my Canon RF 200mm f2.8 macro lens. I bumped back up my key light to have a little bit more light on the subject because I also closed down my aperture to get more of the shoe in focus. Definitely need a little bit more light. I'm gonna bump up the key. I'm using the Sidus Link app so you can quickly adjust your lights just from your phone. It's so helpful. That's the whole reason why I stuck with all Aperture Amaran lights. I just think this function alone is enough to stick with this brand. All right, I just bumped that up to 100% intensity and that looks a lot better. I also have this microfiber cloth that I've been keeping in my pocket. This is very important when you're working with acrylic surfaces because they attract all of the dust, and of course we don't want those, especially in a macro shot. So periodically I just keep trying to wipe any at least of the heavy dust that might be picked up by the camera. And here's how some of those raw shots looked. I also grabbed a few stills, since in my storyboard I have a section where some product photos flash by. I'm going to be trying to get a really good detail shot of the waffle sole, since that's been one of the most iconic features of the shoe. I switched back to my concrete surface for the rest of the shots. So I want to have a shot where the shoes walk by the screen, and then this is going to be the second to last shot that reveals the outro graphic with the Vans logo. Normally, I would have bought my size. They only had one size left, which was a 5.5, which is just a tiny bit too small. So I'm gonna try to fake this with my hands walking by. I'm gonna use these leggings and basically get dressed. And you already know we got the Vans socks. We gotta be on brand. Oh yeah, these actually look like ankles, kinda. The hardest part is just gonna be getting the right walking motion. You need to kinda have them This is just another Thursday. I think that was good. I'm good with this. So the walking's good, but I forgot about the part how you can see my body reaching over. I need to think about this for a bit. I think the only way to do this is to go on top of the table. Do it from like an overhead angle. I think that's the only way to not have my body in it. It makes it really difficult to get the heel and toe motion because obviously I'm pushing my weight downwards, so I can't really fluctuate it like that. So I'm just gonna do a few of these. I gotta try to make this work. Hopefully nobody notices except you guys because you're watching the BTS. If anyone needs a good core exercise, this is all you. This is so funny to me. Holy shit. Okay, let's go. Oh my good lord, the things we do. As much as I would love for this to have worked, it just doesn't because the ankles would need to be like at a tilted angle way more than my hands can naturally do like that. So I don't know, I'm gonna try one more time to try to jam these on my feet. It's only a half size too small, so maybe I can make it work. So I'm just gonna do that next. And if I can simply just walk across this, like we're golden and it's gonna look right. So let's try it. The left one, I was able to squeeze on earlier. Like that's good, but my right foot, I don't know, dude. I feel like my right foot must be like the tiniest bit bigger because I could not do this earlier. But maybe because we know it's our only chance, like I'll find a way to make this fit. Oh shit, I think I got it. All right, so do I just like stand on the table? I'm getting hyped to edit this. Just like seeing the thumbnails of all the shots we've done so far just gets me freaking amped. I think we can move on from this shot. I think it's pretty freaking sick. In post, I drew a mask around the logo and keyframed it to be revealed as my footsteps walk by to up the production value of the shot. The next scene is an overhead angle where I captured one shot with the shoe face up and one shot with the shoe face down with the plan to composite them together in post. I'm using a C-stand fitted with a grip arm to hold the camera. I switched back to my Sigma 18-35 for this shot. I used an Aperture MC light above the subject to get a bit more lighting. Next up is the fishing line shot. I tied some fishing line to the end of my grip arm and the other end through the eyelets of the shoe. I wanted the shoe to be more angled, so I stuck my MC light into the front of the shoe to help weigh down just the front. I changed my frame rate to 120 FPS and adjusted my shutter accordingly to 240. I grabbed the first take handheld and with the shoe barely rotating, and then another take with the shoe rotating more. I'm also gonna shoot just a clean plate of the background without the shoe. In post, I masked out the fishing line and duplicated this shot 2 more times. I keyframed it to look like the shoe splits into 3. I added a drop shadow, changed the color to red, and feathered it out a bunch to look like a glowing effect. Next, I'm doing a scene where you see the shoe rotating. I did put the camera back to 60 FPS, so now the shutter's back to 120. Similar to the Vans logo, I also masked the text to go behind the hands on this scene. All right, I think that is a wrap. This shoot was really fun and I enjoyed experimenting with new techniques to help better my videography skill set. I have the storyboard for the next video ready to rock, so stay tuned for that. And as always, I appreciate you guys for checking out my videos.